Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And sorry, good morning to those who are joining us from the other side where it's now morning. You're all welcome to.
Good morning.
You're all welcome to this afternoon's program. My name is Agatha Ohimin, and I'm the acting director for the University of Ghana Nutrition Research and Training Center. And so this afternoon, the one who will coordinate the discussion is an associate professor at the Department of Nutrition and Food Science, University of Ghana. She obtained both her bachelor and her master's degrees from the University of Ghana and her doctoral degree from Cornell University, USA. Professor Esther Sechi-Dawson has spent the past 33 years teaching, researching, and mentoring students at the Department of Nutrition and Food Science, and she is still doing that. And so this afternoon's discussion, we have Professor Esther Sechi-Dawson to be the moderator. And so at this point, I'll hand over to Auntie Esther, Professor Sechi-Dawson, to take over the discussion so that we can start on time and end on time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ohimin. And once again, welcome to everyone. For our colleagues and friends on the other side of Atlantic, I suppose it's a good morning to you. And for those of us on this side of the Atlantic, it's a good afternoon. Welcome to this much anticipated nutrition webinar that is going to tell us a bit about the Nutrition Research Center that is at Asasewa and the work that they have been doing over the past decade. We are grateful that you've all joined in from various parts of the world, and you are all very, very welcome once again. To start off, I would want to maybe give a little bit of history, which I'm sure that Prof. Latte and Professor Makis will also go more deeply into about the Nutrition Research Center that is at Asasewa and how it came about. Now, this research center is definitely the brainchild of Professor Latte and Professor Grace Makis, who had previously collaborated on two very big nutrition projects, the ENAM project and also the ENAM, which is Enhancing Child Nutrition Through Animal Source Food Management in Africa. That's the project that was from 2003 to 2009. And the nice thing about that acronym ENAM is that animal in Akan is also NAM, so it went very well, So ENAM, when you say it in the, I suppose in the communities where they worked, they could relate to that name. And then they also had another project, the Research to Improve Infant Nutrition and Growth, RING project. And after these projects, and based on the work that they had done in rural Ghana, they birthed the concept of the University of Ghana Nutrition Training and Research Center. And it's a collaboration of 3 universities where these two very dynamic ladies and researchers, professors have been working, University of Ghana, McGill University, and Iowa State University. Also, the Plan Ghana, who they had used, it's an NGO, was part of it. And then the Asasewa Government Hospital and the Upper Manya Krobo District Assembly, and chiefs and people of Asasewa. And so the people of Asasewa, the government hospital, have all collaborated with this nutrition center. The initial funding was partly from the Global Livestock Collaborative Research Support Program, the GL-CRISP, the USAID, and then the land, of course, was donated by the chiefs and elders of Asesawa through the Asesawa Hospital, and for which we are eternally grateful for their cooperation and giving that land for this center to be situated there for work to be done in terms of rural nutrition, fighting against malnutrition in rural Ghana. The University of Ghana staff supervise all aspects of the building process, from bidding all the way to construction and of the building itself. And in July, so almost, that's 11 years now, yes, because 2021, July 29th, 2010, the Vice Chancellor at the time, Professor Clifford Niboy Tego, and Professor Montague Dement of the GL-CRISP jointly commissioned the center. And so really they have been in existence for more than 10 years. And today we are going to hear a bit more about what they have been doing and what they have achieved so far. It has been a landmark project and a landmark institution. Even for the Department of Nutrition and Food Science, we are very proud of that center and the work that they are doing. So I'd like to once again welcome all of you, and especially also our speakers from Ghana and from the US. You are all very welcome. And at this point, I will turn it over to Dr. Hemming to give us some pictorial tour of the center, the UG Nutrition Research and Training Center. So she is going to give us a virtual tour. It would have been nice if we could have gone there physically, but since we can't go there, Dr. Hemming will give us a virtual tour. So Dr. Hemming.
Thank you, Prof. So we put together this presentation just for those who have never been to the center before, to have an idea, the physical structure, which is the focus for our discussions this afternoon.
Hello, my name is Agatha Ohemi, the Acting Director of the University of Ghana Nutrition Research and Training Center. The center, which is located in Asesawa, the district capital of Upper Manakobo District, is part of the Department of Nutrition and Food Science, University of Ghana, Lagos. This is the entrance to the center. The center is next to the Asesawa Government Hospital. Once you go through this first metal gate, there's a second smaller gate, which then leads you to the compound of the center. And this is the main entrance to the building. Once you enter, on your right is a one-story part of the building, which hosts a conference room. And this conference room is well equipped to host meetings, as well as discussions, training sessions that occur for participants of programs at the center, or for researchers who want to train the field workers. That same part of the building also has what we call the demonstration kitchen. And as you can see, this kitchen is well equipped to be used as part of a food demonstration exercise. And it is also the main point for cooking and eating for participants of people who have programs at the center, or researchers who visit the center. On the left side, from where you enter, from the main entrance, you will see a two-story building as part of the center. And this story building hosts or has a social room, what we call a social room, on the second floor. This social room is very conducive for informal meetings, particularly in the evenings. So for researchers and for other people who have programs at the center in the evenings when we want to have informal meetings or just relax and do personal reading, this is a room that is well equipped for that. On the ground floor, we have offices that include this office space for the resident dietitian, as well as for students who come and conduct their research at the center. That two-story building also holds some bedrooms that serve as residential facilities for researchers, for trainers of programs that are run at the center, and also for other activities. In the middle of this building, there's a small space of land that has been developed into a demonstration garden. And so we have vegetables, various vegetables that are cultivated within this space. This is the back of the building. So we started from the main entrance, and this is the back. Now from the back of the building, there is a pavement that leads to a 3-bedroom self-contained bungalow that is also located on the land of the center. Now this pavement is a temporal structure because it is occupying part of the space that is demarcated for our hostel. It's expected that with time we'll be able to put up a 30-bedroom or a 30-bed hostel that will be able to accommodate more people for programs that are run at the center. Behind the 3-bedroom bungalow is another space that currently is also developed into a demonstration garden. And so we have continuous cultivation of vegetables, and we sell some of these vegetables to raise funds for ourselves. The center is also surrounded by various fruit trees like mango, we have oranges there. Currently, the center is managed by an acting director who is also a senior member of the Nutrition and Food Science Department. She's ably assisted by a resident dietitian who also serves as the on-site programs coordinator for the center. And we are pleased to also have 3 people who help us in terms of security and cleaning activities. You are welcome to visit the website of the center that is provided on the slide, and also to make any inquiries via email using the address that has been provided on the slide. Thank you very much for accompanying this virtual tour.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hemming, for taking us through the Nutrition Training and Research Center at Asesoa. And as we can see, it's a nicely developed place, and there's still room for more development. As she said, looking for bungalows and all of that. But that place has done, a lot of work has been done there, a lot of research. Students have been trained and continue to be trained in that building and in that facility. So we are going to hear a bit more about that facility, how it started. And so I would want to introduce our next speaker, a very accomplished lady, very accomplished academic, a visionary one at that, who I think I would say lives and breathes nutrition. She's just in her element when she's talking about nutrition, and especially when it has to do with maternal and child nutrition. I would want to just share a screen and just give a little bit background on her as I introduce our next speaker. So our next speaker, one of the brains behind the center, is Professor Anna Lartey. She is a professor of nutrition, and she also is the immediate past director of nutrition at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. She has been there since October 2013, and she retired from that position in December 2020. In that position, she led FAO's work on food systems for nutrition. And prior to that, she was a professor of nutrition at the Nutrition and Food Science Department, which is where she birthed the idea of this nutrition center from 1986 to 2013. She has also been the president of the International Union of Nutritional Sciences from 2013 for 4 years, right? 2013 to 2017. She had her PhD as a Fulbright Fellow at the University of California in Davis from 1994 to 1998. Professor Latte's research is focused on maternal and child nutrition. And in that work, she won University of Ghana's Best Researcher Award for 2004. That was when they worked on the, I think the WHO multi-growth research, where they were looking at growth curves for children. And this was a multi-centered project. And they worked on that for Ghana. And Professor Latte has also held the chair in nutrition for health and socio-economic development in sub-Saharan Africa from 2009 to 2014. And she has been a recipient of the Sight and Life Nutrition Leadership Award in 2014. So as we see, she is a very accomplished academic. She was awarded a Doctor of Science honoris causa by McGill University in June 2018, again recognizing her work and the international collaboration that she has had with McGill University and other universities, and generally for her work in nutrition. So I would like to welcome Professor Anna Latte to tell us about the genesis of this nutrition center and the work that went into getting that place set up. Professor Latte.
Thank you very much, Professor Sechi Dawson, for the kind introduction. Very grateful. I'd like to share my screen. So if you please, okay, great. So between you and Dr. Agatha Hemeng, I think you have basically given my presentation. So that will help us save a bit of time, so I don't have to go into too much details. But I thank again for the opportunity to actually give a bit on the genesis of the University of Ghana Nutrition Research and Training Center in Asasewa. Thank you. Let me put it in slideshow mode so that, okay, great. Okay, so as was mentioned by Professor Esther Sechi Dawson, this project came out of experiences from two projects, the RING project and the NAM project, which she has already described. Even though it is not the purpose of this presentation to give you anything on the research that was done, I felt it's important to just give you briefly 1 or 2 slides on each of the projects on some of the findings. The RING project actually was looking at maternal HIV status on growth and motor milestone development and other factors on Ghanaian children in the first year of life. Now, this is a collaboration involving several universities, as you can see here, McGill, Connecticut, Noguchi, and Iowa State University, and the University of Ghana. So it was a real collaboration that went into this project. And this project was funded by the National Institute of Health in the USA. Then we have this study, the ring project was done in the Yulo and Manya Krobo district. So I think that tells you a little bit why we are in Asasawa. We'll come to that in details. But this work was done with pregnant women attending antenatal clinics. And the rationale was to look at why we chose this area was a high prevalence of HIV in this region at the time when we're doing this study. Now, what are some of the findings of this work? We're looking at how HIV impacts child growth. Maternal HIV will impact on the growth of the mother. And one thing that came out was that it was very clear. The red line here is that of children born to HIV positive mothers. And then the two lines above are for children born to HIV negative mothers, HIV negative and HIV unknown mothers, because there were some of the mothers who did not know their status and were not interested in knowing. So we recruited them into another group. Now, this slide clearly tells you, after adjusting for a number of controlling factors, you can see that a mother being HIV positive, this affects the growth of the child all throughout, even right from birth. So you can see that something even happens prenatally, and these children do not really catch up compared to the others. So in the first year of life, you see the difference between children of HIV positive mothers and those who are negative. Okay. Now, if it comes to motor milestone development, we looked at about some of the motor milestone development, and here you can see that they also lagged behind in the motor milestone development, where you see standing with assistance. Again, they are significantly different. Walking with this assistant different, standing alone and walking alone. So if you look at the ages by which they attain these milestones, you can see that they also lag behind. So it's very clear that maternal HIV influences child growth and development in the first year of life. This came out clearly from the ring study. Then in the NAM study, this was a multi-sectoral intervention to improve children's animal source food intake. The intervention had 3 areas: microcredit to caregivers, nutrition education to caregivers, and entrepreneurial education in their businesses. Okay. Now the participants were caregivers with children between 2 and 5 years. Now, again, I'll go straight to the results because that's not the purpose of this presentation. Basically, what you can see here is that the green are those who received some of the intervention, and the yellow are those who did not receive the intervention, some of the intervention, for example, loan. And in terms of weight for age Z-score, you see that those who were in the study who received the intervention had better growth in terms of weight for age and height for age compared to those who did not receive the intervention. So clearly, the intervention did something on these children. Then we also looked at the intervention on nutrition education, and I've just put in here some of the quotes that came out of the mothers, out of the study. There's a mother saying this: "I did not know that meat or eggs were good for children and would make them grow well. In our culture, meat is usually not given to children. So anytime I prepared food with meat, I'll give the meat to the adults." I mean, we all know this, but this came out very clearly from the study. Now, the woman ended up by saying that, "Now I know meat and eggs will make a child grow well and strong." This is fantastic. I mean, to know that we can get mothers to change their behavior as a result of some information that has been given them on the project. So the intervention, this study had not only benefited the child, the frequent interactions that the women had with themselves, resulted in improved relationships with customers and others, enhanced self-confidence, perceived independence, and public speaking and teaching abilities. So this came out again of the ENAM project. So out of these two, it informed the vision for the center, that it will be a training center for nutrition education, including training of undergraduate and graduate students in field methods, refresher courses for health professionals, and course for para professionals, rural health and agriculture extension workers. So basically, a training center. basically a training center. But in addition to that, it will be a community nutrition rotation site for Ghanaian and foreign dietetic interns. This has been one of the major work we did there, activity we did there, and my colleagues would be speaking about them. Professor Matilda Asante and the others will be talking about that. The second vision was to look at a multidisciplinary community-based research center with emphasis on participatory research in the area of nutrition. The initial focus was on child nutrition, but the center is envisioned to look at new areas of research as they emerge. So this was the vision behind the center coming out of the two projects that we had undertaken. Well, how did it all start? After doing all this research, well, one day, Professor Marquis and I decided that we had agreed that we wanted to build this kind of center. The lessons learned will inform this. We just went into a vehicle and decided that we are going to look for a land to build this center. It may sound funny looking back. We just got into a vehicle. We are going to look for a land. That's exactly what we did. We had some chat with the Agomena government, Agomena Catholic Hospital. They asked us to go and see their bishop in Kofredra. We went, we saw him, he received that very well and was very amenable to giving us a land close to the hospital in Agomena. But somehow, after we left there, somehow somebody informed us that, oh, why don't you also consider Asasewa? It's in the rural area somewhere up there, and go there and see, maybe you may be lucky there. We got there because we wanted a rural setting. Agomena was becoming almost peri-urban. So yes, we found our way to Asasewa with the same story. We are looking for land to build a center. And when we got there, the person we met was this doctor, Dr. Akoto. And I remember very well his words. He says that this is your last stop. You are not going anywhere. You will build a center in Asasewa. It was not empty words. The words were backed with action. He rounded up the hospital management team and other groups to tell them about our mission. They formed a nutrition center planning committee. That team, that's the chief of Asasewa then. This is the Queen Mother, Paramount, Deputy Paramount, Queen Mother, and then the rest of the hospital management committee. They were all supportive of the idea, and they said, let's put this into action. So we interacted with them. We had several meetings with them. The University of Ghana was also very supportive. When we got the funds, I'll talk about the funds later, we put up a bid for architects or people who will build the center, and a group won it, and they helped us. So you can see the architect, the chief architect, looking at the plan for the center, and that's it. Now, this is Tag, we call him Tag Demand. He is the person who supported us with the funding. His groups, the GL Livestock Crisp, provided the funds for the Enam project, and he was quite supportive of the nutrition center, and he gave us the funds, initial funds. The rest of the funds came also some from projects, indirect costs from projects that we held at the University of Ghana. So this is the vision we had for the center in terms of physical facilities, where Agatha has taken us through what it looks like now. We wanted to build a research block, offices, sample preparation rooms, and interview rooms, and that's it. This has been done. Then also a training block, conference room, kitchen, demonstration kitchen, storage, etc. That is it. This has been done. Then also we wanted to build residential block, long-term facility, and short-term facility. This is this part, and that part has been done. This block has not been done yet. Otherwise, the center would almost be, the physical facilities would almost be completed. So basically, this is the plan, and I'll say about 80% of it has been completed. What we are looking for is the one to build a long-term housing accommodation. This is the building of the center. You can well imagine it was a project that consumed all of us. Dr. Marquis looking at ways we can get funds to get going. I mean, all of us thinking about how to get the center to reality. And it did happen. And that great day came, July 29, 2010, the center was inaugurated. You can see us, Professor Agnes Budu, giving us the opening prayer, and all the key people were there. This exactly the center, as you saw on the plan, the entrance of the center. And this, the center, the plaque being opened with a tag, and also the Vice Chancellor, then Vice Chancellor, Professor Tego, as was mentioned by Professor Sichi Dawson. Now, this is the Deputy Paramount Queen Mother, the late, we call her Auntie Esther, and she came to cut the ribbon on the entrance to the bungalow. So it was a very joyful day. And this is the District Chief Executive, Professor, there he is, that's Professor Grace Marquis, tag Vice Chancellor, and then the Chief of Asesewa. And this was right after the inauguration or the opening of the Nutrition Center. It was a very joyful day for all of us. And indeed, being in Kroboland, you cannot do something like this without them coming to show their rich, rich, rich culture. We had these young girls coming to do the Krobo dance on that day. It was great. And we do a lot of activities in the center. Agatha has just told you. I'm sure the past interns will tell you some of the things we did at the center. But we also had fun, especially in the evenings. You can see Professor Agnes Budu there doing the Zumba with all of us. And there's Erin also joining in. So it's been great. And I thank you all for this opportunity to talk about the Nutrition Center. I consider this Nutrition Research and Training Center a vision realized. Thank you all very much. I hand over Dr. Sichi Dawson, Professor Sichi Dawson.
Yes, so Professor Lartey, thank you so much for walking us through the genesis and especially giving us this background on the ENAM and RING projects that informed your decision and also led you into thinking through that you needed to have something more permanent. Thank you very much. We will move on to now look more into the research aspect of the center and what needed to be done. And I'd like to introduce the next person who is also, as Prof. Lartey has mentioned, the other brainchild behind the center. And they have had a lot of collaboration and they still do collaborate on research. So I want to introduce Professor Grace Marquis. So Professor Marquis, who is now an associate professor at McGill University and affiliate at Iowa State University, has actually been working in the area of nutrition also, and especially international nutrition, for a very long time. She started her research career 35 years ago at the Nutrition Research Institute. I'll not try to pronounce it in Spanish, in Lima, Peru, and she still is collaborating on research in Peru. And in 1999, she started working with counterparts at the Department of Nutrition and Food Science and University of Ghana in different research settings, which Prof. Lartey has mentioned some, and out of which, of course, NRTC has come out. And in recognition of the work that she has done with colleagues in the University of Ghana awarded her a doctorate of laws, honoris causa, in 2013. Professor Marquis has also worked in terms of social environmental aspects of nutrition, and she was the Canadian Research Chair for 10 years, 2006 to 2016. She also is the associate editor, one of the associate editors for the journal Advances in Nutrition. And for her love for international collaborative work, she is part of the trustees of the International Collaborative Initiative, the E-Nutrition Academy, which really is more for supporting online nutrition learning in higher education globally. She also focuses her work, her community-based research, examines how social, cultural, biological, and environmental factors do interact and the mechanisms by which they alter the household ability to provide optimal feeding and caregiving for young children. So her research focus, of course, dovetails directly into what she and Professor Lati dreamt about of getting a nutrition center. So I'll welcome Professor Grace Marquez. Unfortunately, last year around this time, no, that was in March. Last year, March, you were in Ghana to go through this workshop or conference with us. And unfortunately, COVID struck and everything went haywire. And we couldn't have you physically with us doing this. But we are grateful that today we are having this webinar and you can also share with us. So Professor Grace Marquez, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theodoros, and it's a pleasure to be here to talk about the research that has taken place under the University of Ghana's Nutrition Research and Training Center. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So I assume everybody can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for the kind introduction, and I'm hoping that with the improvement of the health of the world, I will be able to visit University of Ghana in the near future. UNICEF in 1990 published a conceptual framework that considered the multiple levels of determinants of nutrition. And it was really a call for all sectors across society to recognize their roles that they played in improving nutrition. And this has guided our research and our approach in the Eastern region. One of the questions that we have asked in thinking about nutrition in rural communities is what is unique about living in the rural areas? And there are factors that are environmental, institutional, social, and individual that make it challenging for vulnerable communities and vulnerable individuals to meet their nutritional needs. And these are the factors that we have really focused in on. The NRTC has conducted its research on determinants of nutrition, not as an independent institution, but as one of many district partners. And we have been blessed, you can see from the very beginning, with the support of the community to actually build the center. But we've also been blessed by wonderful partners throughout our journey to carry out the research. And these have included the Ghana Health Services, Department of Food and Agriculture and its Women in Agricultural Development Office, the Ghana Education Service, the many departments within the District Assembly, the Rural Bank, non-governmental organizations, as well as the communities and its volunteers and traditional leadership that have all been important district partners for the research. What I'd like to do first is just to provide a glimpse of the different roles that we have played together, the center and the institutions in research. These have included, for example, being part of the steering committee of projects. And here we see a picture of one of our year's annual meeting of the steering committee for the Nutrition Links project. This committee provided just essential guidance to the project for the research and training activities. They helped work on developing what partner responsibilities and tasks would be, on discussing the project advances and the next steps, and very importantly, for planning for the future. And this included thinking about it with anticipation, the concept of sustainability of the project's activities, and really led to the next submission for a research project, the Linking In project that I'll talk a little bit about. Together with institutions, they have played a role on community advisory boards. The one shown here in the picture is Mona Gadirian's doctoral research the board. It's the participant-led video nutrition education project. And this board was key for her, and she's here on the right, the second person on the right. The board helped guide her in the implementation of the intervention. They helped by screening and approving videos that the girls produced on nutrition and making sure that those videos were culturally appropriate and sensitive. And they helped plan just an amazing district-wide dissemination of the videos in a film festival in Asesawa. So a really key component for her research. Our partners have also been directly involved in the implementation of the research. In the ongoing Linking Up project, for example, the World Bank has overseen the microcredit program directly for the women participants. And the staff of the different institutions, such as the Department of Food and Agriculture, Ghana Health Services, and others, have provided directly the training for the community-based education on nutrition, health, agriculture, and gender that's directed to the farmer-based organizations. Another example of this participation directly in the implementation of the project is a mini trial that we carried out under the Linking Up project, which was to test the possibility of using electronic messaging for women to receive information on their phones. And the staff of the different institutions in the district prioritize the nutrition and the agriculture knowledge gap of women in the farmer-based organizations. And then they themselves developed the messages for the mini trials. And you can see here on the right is a message that was developed for the phone that talks very briefly, very concisely on health insurance. Our partners in the institutions also were or have been key in the analysis of project data. Here is an example of a qualitative analysis that was carried out with Mona's project on video nutrition education, where the Community Advisory Board members helped to review and evaluate the stories that adolescent girl participants provided to the project, and then developed a criteria and a selection process and selected the most significant stories that would move forward in the project. The institutional staff have also been key partners in analysis. This is an example of a data analysis, a quantitative data analysis workshop that was carried out with the diverse institutions in the district, where we paired different institutions to develop research questions that were relevant for them. This particular example is a group that looked at whether or not diarrhea among infants was associated with access to clean water. And then the group analyzed the project data themselves and developed the dissemination mechanism of the results and provided the text and the graphs for disseminating this information through a news brief. Finally, the partners also were key in developing the sustainability activities. I mentioned this briefly on the Nutrition Links project. This is the key component of the Linking Up project of how to make sure that any activities that we carry out are sustainable. And one example of this is all of the institutions coming together on a regular basis to develop a mechanism of having a revolving fund for loans for women and having the mechanism for oversight of the funds and activities. So together, we have worked on different aspects of research projects as partners. What have we learned over the decade of research that has occurred at the NRTC? We've carried out quite a bit of research related to education, on harmonizing knowledge across the institutions so that we're all using the same language and the same messages, on improving financial and nutrition literacy of adolescent girls, and on different techniques that we can use to give messages, either through, as I mentioned before, the mobile phone technology, or through mass media, using specifically a radio for education. With the little time I have, I'm just going to give you a little tidbit of the information that we have gained. For example, related to education, we have found through Shelley Clark's collaboration with the Nutrition Links Project that financial literacy training increases knowledge amongst the adolescent girls, and they take that knowledge and use it in a proactive way to increase savings for schools. So we learned that financial literacy helps adolescent girls plan successfully for their future. In the participatory video research project, we found that adolescent girls gain critical nutrition literacy and that they can become the change agents for their and their community's well-being. Together, we believe that adolescents are key partners for change and should be actively included in research that directly or indirectly affects them. Through the work of Dr. Yvonne Go, we learned that residents' knowledge about breastfeeding and complementary feeding is actually quite high. However, the step between knowledge and action is problematic and is limited by perceived inadequate time, income, and infrastructure. One of her male farmer participants said, "We will be happy if the government will turn and look at us, the villagers, because all the food comes from the village. When the road is good, we can get a tractor to come and plow so we can grow the diverse foods they are talking about." So clearly there's knowledge there. The question is how. Through the mobile phone mini trial that we carried out, we found that the poor cellular reception in communities limited the usefulness of mobile education for nutrition and agriculture. Only 50% of the women received and heard the messages, even though they knew they were coming. From these and other projects, we've learned that poor infrastructure limits knowledge sharing and increases disparities. And we need to be advocate for improved infrastructure as part of a project, a part of a package for nutrition-sensitive interventions. We've carried out research on food security and agricultural production, trying different combinations of interventions to improve diets and child growth, women's income, and empowerment. And just a few key findings from that research have shown that integrated education can improve children's diets. It can increase meal frequency. Microcredit alone can also improve children's diets, and we saw an improved a diverse diet associated with microcredit use, but neither of these alone had an effect on growth. However, with the Nutrition Links project, where there was a combination of poultry egg production that led to increased income, gardens, and education, together, we were able to improve child diet diversity and growth, and that the effect was doubled with high participation. So we want to focus not only on getting the right intervention, but encouraging our participants to participate at the fullest. So alone, income and education may not be enough to improve growth, but integrated interventions that enhance knowledge and skills and provide the means to implement those knowledge and skills can improve child growth. And then finally, we have multiple research projects that have looked at health and care. Many of these carried out by students from University of Ghana as well as abroad. And just a little bit of a taste of those results. Boateng showed that with a randomized controlled trial that fortification of complementary foods with moringa was not beneficial for infants, that there were actually negative outcomes associated in comparison to those who were not receiving the moringa. We found through the Nutrition Links project that food insecurity was not associated only with problems with dietary intake, but also with health, and that there was increased risk of respiratory infections when there was more severe food insecurity. The Nutrition Links also had an opportunity to look at verbal autopsies as a mechanism of documenting mortality and found that the district mortality statistics may be underestimating the problem. Our primary causes of death in children less than 5 years of age in our project were malaria, HIV, and pneumonia. And then finally, in the Linking Up project, we found that 44% of female and 12% of male farmers were overweight and obese. So throughout these projects, I think we have come to understand that good quality research is needed to identify nutrition concerns and assess the true effectiveness of proposed solutions and recognize when some things work and some things do not. Poor quality diets and child morbidity and mortality remain a problem in our area, and the rise of overweight and obesity in adults is now a major public health concern for rural communities. I want to end just by saying that our research projects provide not only evidence for answering specific scientific questions, but they also give us the opportunity to have human interactions that enrich in many diverse ways our own lives, as well as those of the women, their families, and the communities in which they live. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marquis. Thank you for those perspectives that you've given us concerning research that has taken place or is currently also ongoing using the Nutrition Training Research Center as the base. So they have somewhere to use as a base and as a SOA in the rural areas, and the perspectives that she has given us clearly points to her research focus, where she's looking at all the social, the cultural, biological, environmental factors that play up when it comes to looking at nutrition, especially of younger children. So thank you very much for that. We will go in a different direction now, where we are going to watch a video. And this, she mentioned, Dr. Marquis mentioned this for the video research project from one of her students. And we are going to just have a short video on that. And I'll just want to introduce that. So we are going to have Mona share some videos with us, or videos that Mona did as part of her work. And Dr. Marquis has spoken a bit about them, where she explored the empowerment of adolescent girls as important channels of nutrition education in this district, the Upper Manyakrobo district. There will be two videos, one an introductory video where Mona talks about her work, and then the second video will be telling us something, or it's work that has been really produced by the study participants. And Dr. Marquis mentioned that, about involving the participants in the research. And this is a good example of that. So we will now watch those videos. would want them to show us. So Agatha.
We chose to work with adolescents because we understood that this is a really critical time in their life. We understood that they are no longer children and they have a lot of potential to think critically about the world around them, and that they have the will and the energy to make a change. What we also understood is that it was a window of opportunity where they could grow significantly and develop really important habits that they could bring into the future if only they could learn to eat healthier foods. But we knew that in Upper Manyakrobah district, adolescent girls were facing challenges in acquiring a balanced diet and preventing iron deficiency anemia. And so we proposed an intervention. This intervention was unique because we really wanted to tap into their strengths. We knew that they could be our co-researchers, that they were very natural teachers in the community, and they could be very powerful agents of change.
At the end of this adolescent nutrition project, girls became researchers. Why? Yes, because the fact that the girls have been in a community for long, they know the reality well. That is why we approach them as co-researchers. Intervention was designed for girls, giving them the space to talk about their communities and the obstacles they face in getting, one, a balanced diet, two, to prevent iron deficiency anemia in adolescents. They pass through some few activities like the Magolis Wheel, which gives them the chance to talk about their problems and to have the topic at the tip of their mouth. Two, the problem 3, which help them to analyze the different elements of their problem, like the causes, the effects, the problem and the solution, the obstacles and the solution. We ask the girls to choose the biggest obstacle in getting balanced diet, preventing anemia in adolescents, and give them the chance of making a short video about it.
The purpose of the video is to make it easy for them to teach others, and it helped them to address the obstacle that they identified in their communities. They came out to their own stories. And the story was about balanced diet and anemia. And it was simple for them to explain it or educate their peers, the community, and it even empowered themselves. We had so many activities that helped them to bring out the obstacle. And some of the activities are the name game and the river of life. The name game was to make them familiar with the camera. And then the river of life was to bring the clear message of the obstacle in their community. They did everything on their own. They were very confident. And then they handled everything and they knew the video was for them. And they were proud to screen and to consult about the video to their friends. So now they have become managers, they have become producers, and most importantly, they have become good teachers in the community.
We consulted with them to know about what it takes to become an effective teacher. And to become an effective teacher, we ourselves, we need to practice what we preach. So we ourselves, we need to eat good foods, like the grow foods, which are the fruits and vegetables, especially dark green leafy vegetables, which are rich in iron. We need to eat less sweet and make good use of the fruits around us. Also, we noticed they have been encouraging each other and helping each other to overcome an obstacle they face. For example, because of some girls, some school canteens have changed their foods. They bring more fruit, more meat now. Some prepare healthier food for their families. They are now changing their agricultural practices by weeding around their kontomire and the turkey berries. They also took the initiative to do their home guidance. We're so proud, and we realized when they were united about an obstacle, they stood on that to bring a solution. We are excited to see more changes to come.
Anybody else to say yes, madam? What for the parents? Oh, it's we may need to have a drug, no one and never know the money and no one from them on problem. How about the parents?
Wabeni lemke konye nini sheni wangani onyo mefumu le si wali pena yole lo abaje seni no kacho wotobe le wa kune no ka aje kacho skupa me kune mu ade kase ni ka konye nini sheni mutu
ba iko pe igbenyo ebi ke be ga ina simba wa tesimalo wa ni ologo pe do ohun na ka yenu o igbe score ba won tun mi o o fe no ti flo fine ko ga ga ya mo do bayi ebi je ro pe o ni mu debi yo li ya o mo yo ya na bara ka te ni yo hello good morning class
good morning madam
how are you
yeah fine thank you and
Mona mama ko ka center ko balance that ne ji ni ni che baka ka ni ni che ne ni ma te ni sisi ni ji ni che yes ni che ji ni ko ni wa yo ka je wa chu ku e ne am ko de ka no pio wa ni wa chu ku e ne ni ma wa chu ku ka e ne wa ne ni ma te ni ni ya squat one when ni ni meeting ni lord ni ho ga ba no ni mi ji ni meeting ni charge ni ha wo he wan ni po wipe ni ha ni wa wa funfun ni lord pogo no ni pogo ha wo he wan o to me e po wipe ni yo no ha ni wa funfun ba ti won aka wa ye ka pie wa ni me wa ka pie ka choi blin ke ni choi wa ka pie wa ni me ko ne ko wa yo e ma je yo nke ni kwan ka je wa mo be wa mo wa fine bi na be ni je wa mo wa fine wa mo wa ma na wa e wo lo
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Himing, for that. We are seeing the other side of the research, and this is very action-oriented research. And as Professor Maki said in her presentation, making the participants also co-researchers. And it's very exciting really to see what these girls were able to come up with and what they have learned and basically internalized from the work that was done by Mona. And it's very exciting to see this very, very practical way of doing research and impacting on society, as we've seen. And this also all been made possible because this Nutrition Research and Training Center is situated in a rural area, and it's very heartwarming to see this. We will now shift our gears a bit or focus more onto the dietetics end, because we know that we've had dietetics rotation, people coming in who are dietitians, who come to do research and also interact with the community. And so we'll have one from Erin Bergquist. This one is pre-recorded, and I would like to just introduce her before we start her recording. So Erin is also a clinical professor. She is a dietitian at Iowa State University in the Food Science and Human Nutrition Department. And she also focuses on hunger and environmental nutrition. She coordinates international rotation programs. Sorry about that. She coordinates international community rotation programs with the University of Ghana, so they come to the center. And she's also coordinating rotations in India and in France. Erin is a member of the Global Member Interest Group of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and she has led development of dietetic internship concentration programs. And one is on sustainable, resilient, and healthy food and water systems. That was in 2018. She has also been a member of the working group that developed the standards for professional performance for registered dietitian nutritionists in sustainable, resilient, and healthy food systems in 2014. Erin is an accomplished academic and lecturer, and she has been awarded many, she has got many awards, including Outstanding Dietetics Educator for the Midwest region in the United States. She also got the International Achievement Award from Iowa State University, from the College of Human Sciences. And lately, I mean, that's just last year, again, she was awarded the Distinguished Term Faculty Award. That is Erin, and she also has participated in the Webfimer Guggenheim International Essays, and together with collaborators from University of Ghana, and they won the essay competition in 2015, and she has given an international lecture in 2018. So we will listen to Erin's presentation, which has been pre-recorded because unfortunately she can't be with us physically today. So can we have Erin's presentation?
Hello, I'm Erin Berquist from Iowa State University, Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition. I'm thrilled to congratulate my colleagues at the Nutrition Research and Training Center. Our partnership has been extremely valuable to the many students who have participated in the programming at the center this past decade. I'd like to briefly share how Iowa State has partnered and benefited from the collaboration with UG and NRTC years ago on the newly constructed front steps of the NRTC, dreaming up a partnership between Iowa State University, University of Ghana, and McGill University to train dietetic students about community nutrition. We were the first global partnership to be accredited in the United States. Remain one of the very few programs that includes international experiences for dietetic students as part of their supervised practice. The dietetic profession through exposure to rural communities and underserved areas, and to contribute to improving the nutritional status of the communities, including diet diversity, and to reduce the incidence of malnutrition by providing nutrition education to caregivers and the community. During the program, students performed aspects of the nutrition care process in a variety of communities surrounding Assessawa. For the nutrition assessment, Students conducted an interview with caregivers, that's the left picture, before taking anthropometric measurements, or the mid-upper arm circumference in the middle picture, and then also length or a height in the right picture, and a weight. Continuing with the nutrition care process, the nutrition interventions were provided at a Durbar with all community members invited, and we always had a good turnout. Each class targeted their interventions to the community's needs based on the nutrition assessment data. Interventions were a lot of fun. They often included interactive skits, songs, presentations, and cooking demonstrations. Over the years, students focused on water sanitation, adequate protein for infants and children, adequate vitamin A sources, and improved nutritional variety. To evaluate their intervention, students would ask community members questions about the information they provided, and each Durbar ended with a dance party. Throughout the experience, students learned about Ghanaian and Kroboland culture and customs through meetings with the chiefs, local experts, and through providing nutrition education at the Aseswa Primary School. Here we are pictured with chiefs learning about cocoa production and also how to make weenie mix. Of course, in the top right pic, we always have to celebrate the success of a completed program. Students learned about dietetics in Ghana, food markets, and value-added products from experts at the university, and they immersed themselves in the cuisine of Ghana. Students also learned valuable skills as a result of this partnership. They were able to function in high-performing and diverse teams. They could identify culturally appropriate foods and work within the boundaries of a local food system. In Aseswa, community members eat locally. Having an understanding of local and seasonal foods to recommend is beneficial in any setting. Rural Aseswa is a low resource setting to a different degree than the United States, but students transfer skills when talking about budgeting, traditional and culturally appropriate foods, life cycle specific nutrition, and meal planning. Reflections and debriefing exercises were also set up throughout the experience, and that helps students transfer information from their time in Ghana to settings in the United States or across the globe. The success of our partnership has been widespread. We have published in peer-reviewed journals, presented at national meetings, and have been awarded local and national recognitions. We had the opportunity to present at the National Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo in Boston in 2016, which is our picture on the left, and then also in Washington, DC on the right in 2018. There are many new changes on the horizon, and next month, Iowa State University will transition to a combined dietetic internship and a master's degree program. We're hopeful to be able to safely travel in the fall of 2022. Our focus will shift to include more policy, systems, and environmental change strategies that promote health and nutrition. We are thrilled to continue our partnership with Nutrition Research and Training Center, Dr. Oheming and her team, and the University of Ghana. Thank you so much for an amazing decade, and many congratulations on your successes.
So thank you. We've heard from Erin, and looking at the perspectives from the US that's collaborating and coordinating interns or dietetic rotation and interns from the US and what they have gained using the Nutrition Research and Training Center as their base. So now we'll hear perspectives from Ghana. We'll have Dr. Matilda Asante speaking with us. I would want to introduce her. So Dr. Asante is currently the head of the Department of Dietetics in the University of Ghana College of Health Sciences. She has a research focus on culinary nutrition and dietetics, professional practice, among many others. She has been working in the area of nutritional well-being and dietetics since 1999 and used to be a dietitian at the Tema General Hospital before she joined the University of Ghana. She is a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Council on Future Practice, and also currently working with the technical team developing national food-based dietary guidelines. She examines for the Ghana Allied Health Professional Council, and dietetics is part of the allied health professions. And of course, she's the preceptor for the International Community Nutrition and Dietetics Rotation at the center in Assesoa. And it allows her to also put into practice her research interests in food consumption patterns and chronic lifestyle diseases and all. So would want to hear the Ghana perspective on the nutrition rotations from Dr. Asante.
Thank you very much, Professor Dorsey. I will share my screen now, if I can be allowed to share my screen.
You're allowed to.
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay. Okay, so good evening, everybody, and good morning to those who are not with us here in Ghana. And I also want to thank you for the opportunity to present this afternoon on the role of the Nutrition Research Training Center in Dietetics, the role of the NRTC in training dietitians in Ghana. So this is our perspectives from Ghana. When we were asked to present on this, there was one thing that I was thinking about, and I thought that it would be good to get those who have participated in this program to share their experiences. And so a brief questionnaire was sent to some of our interns who had participated, and the questionnaire had 3 questions. The first one was them to give us the month in which they participated, then also give us some of the highlights of their experiences on the rotation. And then the third one was to tell us where they were currently working and how their experience on the rotation has been beneficial to them. And so we got a feedback from some of the students. And I have summarized some of the things that they gave. The feedback that they gave to us has been summarized. I have tried as much as possible to keep it the way that they wrote, but of course, because of time, some of them have been taken out. So we started the program in June 2012, and I'm not going through the activities because the previous presentation from Erin took us through the activities that they participate when they are at the center. So this is going to focus on what they thought was the highlight of the whole program and how they benefited. So in June 2012, I had a participant in the first batch, and that is Dr. Frank Hayford, who is currently a lecturer in our department. Frank at that time was an MPhil student who was doing his internship. And for him, the highlight of his experience was the data that we had after they had collected their data and analyzed them. Normally what we do is after we finish analyzing the data, we go back into the community and we disseminate the information to them. And for Frank, that was really a very interesting part for him, especially the feedback that they got from the community. Most of our interns have lived in, and even though they are in Ghana, you will find that many of them have lived in the urban centers for quite some time. And so when they go into the rural community, they sort of do have mixed feelings as how they are going to be accepted. So after the presentation, when they interact with the people and they see how they receive them, they really get excited. And this is one of the things that Frank mentioned that he was so excited about. And then another thing that he also mentioned was that working with people from different geographic and cultural backgrounds was a good team building exercise and lesson for him. When the students come and we meet at the center, they often had some lectures before they move out into the community. And also they sort of interact in the evenings and in other programs. And what we realized was that they get to know that dietetic practice, even though we may be in different settings, the practice is basically similar. There may be some few differences as to because of the limited resources we may have in Ghana. But the students tend to appreciate how, with our limited resources, we are also able to practice and to improve the nutrition status of our students. So for Frank, that was a very good part for him. And then the teamwork was something that he has used. It has really helped him in every setting that he goes to. So he's been worked in very different working environments, and these team building skills has really helped him. Then we moved on to the second batch. That was the 2013 group. That was in April. And here also we have one intern from that group, that is Ruth Owu, who is currently a principal research assistant and also a PhD candidate. And for Ruth, her participation in the program deepened her interest in public health and nutrition related issues. So currently, she is pursuing a career as a research dietitian. So here we see Ruth on there, and we also see her with some of the group members that she joined in 2013. Then we moved on. So this was at the early start of the program. So we moved down to some others who were, let's say, the latter part of the program before COVID came in for us to suspend it. So we went to the 2017 group. And here also we see Eric Anku, who is currently a registered dietitian at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Now for Eric, what he says that the highlights of the program was the new research skills that he gained. Normally they would in school, being an undergraduate, they carry out projects and they often would print out questionnaires and go out, or probably would go into the hospital and interview patients. But then for him, when he participated in the rotation, he got to learn how to use the open data kit for data collection. And so currently he's working at the hospital, and these skills that he gained from the rotation is something that he has used even to also carry out a community nutrition project. And then he's also transferred the skills to other team members who were on a project that he was handling. So these are, this is the feedback that we got from Eric. We moved on to 2018, and we also again interviewed, we got a feedback from one of the interns, and this is Antoinette Apiakran. Antoinette is currently working with Nestle Ghana Limited. And she also says that the major highlight of her experience was the DEBA, again, going into the community to give them the feedback and to educate them. And for her group, they identified iron deficiency as a major problem. And so their education focused on how people could plan their meals in adding iron-rich food sources. So if you look at the photo up there, you can see them doing the nutrition education, and we see the community sitting down listening to them. So for her, these skills have really enabled her also to work very well in her current place of work. Because in Nestle Ghana Limited, she's now working with people with different skills, different background, different interests. and she's able to get on well with them very well. And she's thankful for that, her participation in that program. So we also decided to talk to Benjamin, who was also in that same year group. He was a male, Benjamin Andor, and he is currently a dietitian at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. His area of specialty now is with the diabetes care. So he is saying that when he went to Asesewa, I think being exposed to some cultural practices that influence nutrition of individuals became a reality. Because whilst in school, we often teach them some of these things and they hear about it. But back in Asesewa, when he got to know about some of the myths, the taboos, and the things that they do in terms of child feeding, it became more of a reality to him. So in practice now, his emphasis is on that area when he is counseling people who come to him. So these are some of the feedback that we got from our interns. But then for us in Ghana, participating in this training in the Nutrition Research Center at Asesewa did not only benefit our students, but then we also have some faculty who also gained some training experience. And one of them is Dr. Lauren Boateng. She also started as a preceptor in 2012. And for Lauren, what she is saying is that the participation in this program gave her an opportunity to get a grant to pursue a PhD at the University of Ghana. Whilst on one of the rotations, she had a discussion with Prof. Analati, and then Prof. Analati had a grant and decided to support her. So that was one of the things that she really, really is grateful for happening to her at the center. But then besides that, what we also realized as preceptors, and of course I was there with Lauren, our interactions with preceptors from the US gave us some opportunities also to get some training as well. Because when we started, they came down and then they wanted to guide us as to how we could assess their students, because US had some criteria for that. They took us through that training, and then we got to also know about the nutrition care process as a way of taking care of patients or taking care of people who had nutrition-related problems. And so we sort of got interested. And then being interested, the preceptors from US also decided that it would also be great if we could also join the academy, since the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics in the US had so many resources that we could access if we became members. So for Lauren, that was a very big part of her experience at Asesewa. She had the opportunity to join the academy, and not that it didn't end there. When she joined the academy, she later on became the country rep for Ghana, and also won a grant from the academy that enabled her to carry out some sort of research in one of our hospitals. Today, if you are in Ghana and you mention nutrition care process, everybody associates that process with Dr. Lauren Boateng, because she has led in organizing conferences, so many training programs in that area. Now with this for us also, apart from us benefiting, it didn't end there. It trickled down to our practicing dietitians as well, because after getting to know about the nutrition care process, we thought that we couldn't keep that information to ourselves. And so we organized a workshop. We had about 2 workshops on the nutrition care process. And we are proud to say that currently, if you talk about this in Ghana, many of our dietitians are using this in their hospitals. And even when it comes to training of students, it's not just in the University of Ghana. But in all the institutions that are training dietitians now, everybody has adapted it. And it's something that we've incorporated in our training programs and taking our students through this. So we believe that this thing started from Asesewa. We went there to train our students, but in the end, we as preceptors had gained some experience, had got some benefits, and we also have been able to pass it on to practicing dietitians in Ghana, which we think we owe it a lot to the Nutrition Research Center. Besides that, apart from the nutrition care process, we also carried out another workshop on nutrition-focused physical examination. That is how this focuses on how you could physically examine a patient who comes to you, not just focusing on the clinical results, but then also examining them from head to toe to be able to identify some deficiencies such as micronutrient deficiencies. And this also we have passed on to our dietitians in Ghana, and they have acquired the knowledge. Besides that, also in our interaction with Asesewa, when we started with Iowa, we sort of knew only Erin and some preceptors from the Iowa State University. But after participating in the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, in fact, one of our presentations that Erin showed in her slides, after the presentation, we had a lot of people approaching us who were very interested to know what was going on in Ghana. And so we have another university, that is University of Florida now in the US, also coming in. And they have been having webinars with us, coming down sometimes to do some projects with us. And we believe that, again, this all started from Asesewa. So I just want to say that it's not just the students who are being trained, but we end up training preceptors and almost every dietitian in Ghana. Now also, a few of our dietitians have also expressed interest in joining the academy, and people have started applying for membership. So when you talk about dietetics in Ghana, we also have become recognized internationally, especially in the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics in the US. Networking also, from what I've said, you can tell that we've had some networking. And here, if you look at the photo there, this is one of the photos we took before our presentation in one of our conferences. And we did this to show that together we can all move nutrition education forward. And dietetic education as well. We have collaborated with some of our preceptors in carrying out research, in publishing some papers, and also even when it comes down to teaching. When COVID-19 came, the pandemic came, and we sort of all moved to online teaching. We have been so fortunate to have some of our preceptors coming in and offering to help us with teaching online, which I also again say that it all started from Asesewa. So to sum up, if you want me to tell you, or you want us to show you how we have benefited, how the center has contributed to dietetic training, we would say that from our students, they are saying that their skills in teamwork and then in research has been improved. They have gained new ones, and even the ones that they had, existing ones that they had, has been improved. We also say that the center has helped us in training some of our faculty and also training dietitians and nutritionists in Ghana. We are praying that this pandemic will be over. We are calling for more opportunities so that we could all have do more research and also do more activities that will improve the training of dietitians, not only in Ghana, but worldwide. Thank you all very much. I would want to acknowledge Dr. Boateng, who also assisted in putting this information together, and all the dietitians who were past interns, who were kind enough to respond to our questionnaire to enable us give this presentation. Thank you very much. I'll be ready to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asante. Dr. Matilda Asante, we are grateful for your presentation and giving us the perspectives from Ghana. We would now also hear some more perspectives from the nutrition, not nutrition, from the dietetics and dietetics training, dietetics practice. And we'll have a rep of the 2019 alumni interns showing us, talking to us about their perspectives and what they went through and what they gained. So Rosebud, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is
Good afternoon,
Rosebud
Rosebud.
from Assessor Internship Program, November 2019, which currently happens to be the last batch of the interns. Okay, so in this presentation, I'm going to share with you a bit about our experience and then the background of the community where we had our research work. That was Odometa community, and then more about our research and then our day by day. Okay, so this is a nice scenery from the Assessor market. And this was our first day of arrival. Yeah, so after we all arrived, we went to the University of Ghana School of Performing Arts to meet Professor Soa, yes, to learn a little bit of culture. So we learned some interesting dance concepts. We learned how to drum, and then we learned some music too. Okay. And on the second and third day, we visited Princess Marie Louis Hospital on the second day. And over there, we learned how to make some formula feeds for children. And then these pictures are from the third day. And we visited Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the diet therapy unit of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So over there, the various dietitians took us around to the units where they are in charge. Okay, so this picture was taken right in, the two photos were taken right in front of the stroke unit with the resident dietitian over there who happens to be RD Andy and his intern. And then the rest of us are all part of the program. Okay, and the picture on the left was our first day at Assessor. Yes, so we just took the picture after we unpacked and everything. And then the picture on the right was our cultural night. The Ghanaians were supposed to cook that day for everyone to eat. So the food in the bowl, the orange food is in poto, and then the one behind happens to be ampese and then kontomire abum. And these are some of the foods that were served with delicious wache and steamed cabbage with stew and then shito. And then here's a picture of one of our foreign interns trying to assist in pounding or the preparation of fufu. Okay. And this was taken on a trip to the Assessor market. Okay. So as part of our training, we were supposed to do a nutrition education at a school. So we went to the Assessor primary school. And over there, we were put into groups. So one group handled class 4 and the one group handled class 5. So we taught them about my plate, yes, so the portion of foods they should eat and then all that, and then the importance of each food group. Okay, and in preparation for our Deba day, we had to make winnie mix. So here are pictures of us in the process of making winnie mix and also conversing and having fun. Okay, and on one weekend we came to Accra we went to the central region, and on the Sunday afternoon, we were invited by one of the Ghanaian interns' parents to come and visit them at home. So our foreign interns got a feel of a typical day in a Ghanaian home. Okay, and this is a shot from Buti Falls, when we visited Buti Falls. More shots from Buti Falls. This is the picture on the right is the umbrella rock in a clearer view. Okay, and these are pictures from our trip to the Cape Coast Castle. Okay. So our community project at Assessor, which was titled Assessment of Infant and Young Child Feeding Practices of the Odometa community in the Upper Menya Krobo district of Ghana. Okay. So our objectives were to facilitate a focus group discussion with the people of Odometa to gather information about the community and their culture, and also to determine the nutritional status of the infants and children. That's people between 0 and 59 months of the community by measuring their weight, height, and then mid-upper arm circumference. And we also assessed the adequacy of young infant and child feeding practices through a survey and then food questionnaire. Okay, so our study design was a cross-sectional one, and our study site, as I've already mentioned, was odometer. And participants were children between 0 and then 59 months of life, and then their main caregivers. Okay, so during the focus group was mainly to help us relate more and then introduce ourselves to the community. And we were informed that the town was quite conservative. So we decided to group the men and then the women separately so that everyone would feel free and be able to air their opinions. So all the information we have here are from two different groups. So the women told us that they believed that their population was 1,000 plus, while the men told us that they believed they were 700. And we got one meaning of the town, the name of the town, which appears to be Odum Eta, which is two Odum, so twin trees, and that was where their forefathers settled and then formed their community over there. The main occupations were farming and trading, and the foods that were commonly cultivated were maize, cassava beans, tomatoes, and yes, and then the staple foods were banku, fufu, gari, rice, kontomire, and palm nuts and granite as well. Okay, so this was a picture taken after our focus group discussion with our moderators, Mrs. Genevieve Otre and then Dr. Frida Intifo, as well as our interpreters. Over here, I can only see Mary in the photo, but I'm sure Grace was also somewhere. And on the actual day of assessment, that was a day or two after we did the focus group, this is a picture of showing that we were ready to conquer the whole nation. And we made our stations where we had 5 stations, one station for as a reception, one station for the interview, and we had 2 stations for the interview, one station for height and then length, one station for the weight, and then another station to check the FBS or RBS of the adults who came with the children. And we gave them a little send away gift. Okay, so we made it in such a way that at every point, each intern got to have a feel of each station. We weren't stationed at one place for a long time. Okay, so here are pictures of a participant on the scale checking the weight, and now to our results. From our data collection, we realized that more than half of the participants had normal weight for their ages, and more than a third were underweight. The males, 44.8% of the males were severely underweight, with 4.8 and 6.3 of male and female respectively being overweight for their ages. And with the height also, we realized that more males were stunted for their age as compared to the females. 38.1% of males had normal height for their age, while 62.5% of the females had their normal height. Okay, and 52.4% of the males were stunted, and 25% of the females were also stunted. When it came to the consumption of animal source foods, from the 24-hour recall, we took 5.4% of the population or the participants said they took organ meat the day within the 24-hour period. And then some also took meat, that was 16.2%, 21.6% took eggs, 29.7% took beans and nuts, 8.1% took milk, and then 75.7% said they took fish and other seafoods. But from our focus group discussion, we're told that they add fish powder and then shrimp powder to their meals, but then it's not for the purpose of fortification, it's just for the purpose of flavoring. So it was safe to assume that even though majority of them said they added fish or they ate fish the previous day, it was not in the adequate proportion. Okay, and this is also a graph showing the consumption of fruits and vegetables. So majority of them ate foods with palm oil or palm soup, foods made out of palm. And then some too ate more foods that were made out of other vegetables. And the other vegetables includes the tomato, onion, mushroom, garden eggs. Okay. And for the sources of drinking water, 86.5% said their drinking water was sourced from borehole. And then 5.4 said they drank sachet. Our sample size was 37. So because of that, even just one person represents the 5.4. So it means that one person in the town took sachet water and then one person also took bottled water. And then the other represents rainwater. Okay. And coincidentally, that same happens to be the way they treated their drinking water. Most of them did not boil, they did nothing to their water at all. So that was 86.5%. And then 5.4%, also representing one person, said they boiled their water, and another person said their water was filtered. Okay, so after we got our results, we had to organize a deba and then show them what to create an intervention for them. So these were some of our interventions. First of all, we made a song out of one popular tune, yes. And then it was made in Kobo. The song was a Kobo song. So we're talking about the foods that are very economically affordable, that they could eat all the time. And then we showed them some protein sources, some rich sources of vitamins. In this picture, we see a rainbow here, and that was to show them the vitamins they are going to get when they see that if they see any fruit relating to this color or any food that's similar to this color, they are going to get certain vitamins. So we encourage them to take from there. And over here, you can see Grace, our other interpreter, busy interpreting us. Okay. And then our final night at Accessoire, we had a dinner night. Yes, it was a very interesting one. We sang, we listened to speeches, and then we record our happiest moments. Okay. And this was our final day when we came back to Accra. We had to do our presentation to the stakeholders. So this picture was taken after we did the presentation with the stakeholders. But all in all, the internship was a very enlightening and marvelous one. And it was impeccable too. My only problem with it was I feel like the time could have been extended more because it was very interesting. So I did not want to leave. And then our professional skills were enhanced and sharpened. And we got first-hand feel of malnutritional issues facing people in the rural areas. It was a very great experience and fun internship. And we got to learn different cultures and the way of life of others. We made new friends, and then we tightened our bonds that already existed. And we also learned how dietetics was practiced in other countries. So it was a very lovely a very lovely intention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rosebud, for sharing with us your experience, your wonderful experience, and how much you have gained. So now moving on, we've heard from the preceptors of the dietetics training program. We've heard from an intern telling us exactly what went on during their rotation. So now we're ready to hear from the one who is on the ground, the resident dietitian, Ms. Na Nyakwa Jan Mante, and I'll just give a brief introduction of her. So Na is a registered dietitian, and she is coordinating the programs at the Nutrition Research and Training Center. So she lives there and plans and executes the internship program, as well as providing mentorship to the interns who come in. She also does clinical consultations with the Accessoire Government Hospital, which collaborates closely with the center, and the center works with them. And so she does that. Now has a certificate in counseling. So she's a certified counseling psychologist. And she also has a certificate in disability studies and sign language. And I'm sure it comes in very handy when they go into the community. So she's now going to talk to us about the community engagement with from the center with the community Aseswa and the surrounding areas. So now over to you to share with us how you have been engaging with the community.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I am going to look at healthcare and delivery in the district. And with healthcare delivery, I'm going to look at not only healthcare in the hospital, but in the community, in the schools, and also healthcare through the media. Now, in the hospital, basically, I see outpatients and inpatients. With outpatients, mostly patients referred to me are diabetics and hypertensives, though sometimes I do get obese patients being referred to me, some with kidney problems or liver problems. The main ones are diabetics and hypertensives. So when they are referred to me, I give, based on what they tell me in terms of their intake, I'm able to help them with dietary modifications and dietary changes that is very applicable to them individually, so as to help them manage their conditions. In addition to that, because not all of them may be referred to me, on every Wednesday, before they see the doctor, I do a clinic. I run a clinic where I teach them basic stuff that they need to know as diabetics, as hypertensives, so that even if they are not referred to me or they don't see me, but when they go back home, they know what to do to help manage their conditions. With inpatients, I have one big challenge. There is no clinic, there's no kitchen in the hospital, but by the grace of God, I'm able to perform a few miracles, as I call patients, in terms of their diet. So on the wards too, yes, there are diabetics, there are hypertensives, but in addition, anemic patients are referred to me, and the critically ill. Now with those with anemia, mostly they don't come to the hospital because they don't know that they are anemic. Sometimes something else brings them a condition, or maybe they're actually anemic and you're seeing the symptoms of the anemia. So when they are admitted, based on the labs, find out that as well. And then with that, I help them to eat sources of foods that would ensure that not only will they go back to good hemoglobin status, but also to ensure that going forward, they don't come back with anemia. The critically ill patients too, most of them can't eat by themselves and need to be tube fed. And as I said, there's no kitchen. And because it's the district hospital, people from surrounding communities, people from villages, a bit far from us, so I do come there. Now, because there is no clinic, there's no kitchen, it's hard getting, especially critically ill patients, something to eat. But some way, somehow, we're able to find ways around it to help them. Some are able to locate relatives who are in the district or close by who can prepare stuff that these critically ill patients can have. Now, apart from the outpatient and the inpatient care, in the hospital, there's antenatal services being provided. Now, for the past 2 years, the number of pregnant women who are anemic has just been climbing up. So I was consulted that in their antenatal book, there's a portion that needs to be filled by a dietitian or a nutritionist. And with what they were seeing, it would be prudent for me to come on board and help. So now for at least every trimester, I have to see the pregnant woman and find out what they're eating, generalized stuff to help them, especially in terms of their diet, so that they don't come with very, very low HB levels. And it's very sad that sometimes on the ward, you would find pregnant women who are due and their HB is 6, is 7, is 8, and it's not the best. So this is one way we are trying to help prevent that. But unfortunately, a lot of these pregnant women, or some of them, don't come consistently for the antenatal care. So it's difficult managing them or helping them. And so when it's time for them to deliver, some of these challenges come up. So as part of trying to encourage them to consistently come, we do presentations still on various aspects of them, including nutrition, so that consistently they will have something to look forward to. Now, if a person keeps coming throughout or comes throughout their scheduled dates for the pregnancy, at the end of the day, we do something we call pregnancy school graduation. And the picture you're seeing there is a recent one we had. So all the mothers or all the pregnant women who were able to come consistently through to the end were given something to encourage them to do so in their next birth, and to encourage other pregnant women to also come on board, or also stick to coming regularly to ensure that they are properly taken care of. Now, after they've given birth and they go home, most of them go for child welfare clinics in their community. So we don't see all of them again. But those that still report to the hospital for their child welfare clinic, the children, oftentimes the infants are referred to me when they are having challenges with feeding and stuff like that. But the sad part of it is that by a year and a half, or when the child starts walking, they don't bring the children again. So the next time you are likely to be seeing this children or that infant, the child or the infant is likely to be malnourished. And so that's how we find a large number of, a significant number of infants and children coming to the hospital being malnourished. Just as I said, they will not bring them, they will not continue with the child welfare clinic consistently. So we would have these challenges. Now, you usually find them bringing them to the hospital because they have malaria or have developed something, or they are vomiting or have diarrhea. And most times when they come, because they were not doing what they're supposed to do, especially in terms of their diet, the child is malnourished. So in addition to managing them for the condition that brought them to the hospital, we try to ensure that before they leave the hospital to the house, at least if the child is severely malnourished, the child is now moderately malnourished, and the caregiver is giving some knowledge on what to be done. Previously, we were giving plumping. Caregivers had to be taught food fortification methods to ensure that when they go home, even without plumping nuts, the things that are available to them, communities, be able to feed their children. In the community as well, we do provide some health care. And as we've seen from the previous presentation, the internship programs. So at the end of their program, the data they collected, depending on the community, in some, what Rosebud presented before me with hers, their group focused on children under 5. there are some groups whose internships focus not only on children, but on adults as well. And on the DEBA day, they go back to give information on the data or give results from the data they collected, to let the people know the possible health challenges that they may have in the community that they don't know of. That way, to help them know how best they can go about it and to provide solutions. And that is why they had the song that Rosebud was talking about. So not only to deliver the message on their status, their health status, but to give them something that even if they forget everything that was discussed during the DEBA day, that song or that activity will stick with them, help them remember whilst they are home or they go about their daily activities. And from this, there's been instances where for the adults some people whose blood sugars were really high and they didn't even know their blood sugars were high, who were discovered and referred to the hospital for them to be managed. Now, as part of healthcare delivery, as part of the internships, one of the internship programs is run with McGill University in Canada, and their curriculum required the students to do some presentation to either a school or a community, and this a group chose the senior high school in the district, the Zawa Government Senior High School, and they decided to teach the students on the My Plate method to ensure that the students know what a balanced diet is, know how to eat properly to ensure they grow well. Now, with what is seen in the picture, they actually drew the plates, taught them everything, then later gave them the images to stick at the right places, so that it's a way of getting to find out whether they understood what was being taught them and they could, relate to it. And at the end of the day, it was interesting and it was fun, but it was good to note that not even a single student got the positioning of each image wrong. So from there, we know that even if they didn't remember anything, they remembered what they put on the board for that particular plate drawn on the board, and it was going to help in the long run. Now, the latest thing in healthcare delivery is through the center is through the media. Previously, that opportunity was not there, but now we do have an opportunity to educate the public, educate the communities that in the district. And it is through a program that is run by one of the staff of the Aswaga Main Hospital, and his show on the radio station is called Trust FM 98.3, and the program is called Apumudin Komo. So basically on the show, it's targeted to especially those who would not be able to come to the hospitals, those who will still come and will still need the knowledge. And so far it's been good, it's been interesting, where we've had instances where almost every time we have the show, there are so many phone-in segments that we have to tell them that we can't take any more calls. And it's very exciting for us, it's exciting for me that people are learning, people are listening, that they may not necessarily have to sit in front of me in my office, but they are still able to understand, or nutrition is getting to them right in their homes. Unfortunately, I'm not able to speak Krobo, which is the language predominantly spoken in the district. So every time I go to the radio station, I go with an interpreter, and the man you see in the picture is my interpreter. He's also a staff providing health care. To sum it up, I would want to thank all the previous resident dietitians who had contributed throughout this decade to ensure that the community, the district, the Upper Menyakobo district, is having that. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Na, and thank you for the examples that you have given us about how you're engaging with the community. And it shows how important this nutrition training center, which was an idea that two accomplished academics came up with, and it has, over the past decade, borne a lot of fruit and in many, many, many ways. So we are gradually drawing to the end of the program, and our next presentations will be from two persons. One person from the MasterCard Foundation and the other from McGill, I think the African Scholars Program. So I want to introduce the two, and Hajira will speak first, and then we will then get others, the other person, Dr. Ni Adi speaking. So I just want to quickly introduce Hajira and then Dr. Ni Adi. So Hajira Zahid works with the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program. And so she is going to, together with me, give us a commentary on this program, this Nutrition Research Training Center and the work that they are doing. She has worked and lived in many countries, including Ghana. She has worked in Ghana before, or lived in Ghana, in the US, in many other, Pakistan, etc. She previously used to be with the Fulbright Scholars Program at the Institute of International Education in Washington, DC, before she moved to the MasterCard Scholars Program in 2012, where she has co-created new partnerships and provided strategic support to implementing partners. So she'll have something to share with us on that. She has created linkages between Scholars Program and Young Africa Works strategy of the MasterCard Foundation program. And she also managed their secondary education program. So MasterCard Foundation doesn't concentrate only on tertiary education, but also secondary education. For 3 years, she did that. So we'll have Hajira speaking to us. After her, then we'll have the Associate Director for Africa Outreach in the Office of the Deputy Provost, Student Life and Learning at McGill University. He also has been managing and assessing cross-sector partnerships training and applied research for MasterCard Foundation scholars as they transition into Africa. He used to be an assistant professor research at the Saltels Faculty of Management and the Institute of Study of International Development before he moved into administration, I would say. But he still maintains some teaching with the Max Bell School of Public Policy. He has consulted for a number of organizations, and he does have a PhD from the Graduate School of Education and his BA in economics, and he has a master's in public affairs. So he's a very well-rounded person, and we'll have the two of them speaking, but I'll invite Hajira to speak first, and then Dr. Adi will continue.
Thank you, Dr. Esther, and thanks very much for the invitation. It was such a pleasure to hear from all the presenters, and what a noble work you all are doing. I greatly enjoyed listening to all the presentations. And in light of celebrating 10 years of collaboration of 3 universities and many, many other partners, I am delighted to share perspectives from partnership between University of Gondar in Ethiopia and Queen's University in Canada. But before that, I think as I was listening to the presentations, I thought there are so many parallels that one can draw from what you're doing in Ghana and what I will talk about. So using research center as demonstration site, clinical service delivery, engaging community as study or research participants, contextually relevant research, and using evidence to inform programming. And really, you know, service to the community is at the heart of what you do. And so this very much resonated with me and with the program that I'll talk about. I think we have something to learn from you, definitely, and how you are spreading the knowledge beyond the center. And you're developing professional development opportunities for various stakeholders. So this is something we would definitely like to learn from you. So let me share my screen. And there's a slideshow. Okay. So I'll give you a bit of an overview of the partnership. So the MasterCard Foundation welcomed these 2 institutions, Gondar University and Queen's University, as partners in 2016 with the aim that through collaboration, Gondar and Queen's will forge new path for inclusive education in Africa that enables young people with disabilities to reach their potential. There are 2 pillars or 2 parts of this partnership. Part A is focused on implementing the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program at University of Gondar. It is the foundation's flagship program that aims to create a new generation of ethical leaders to drive socioeconomic transformation in Africa. University of Gondar was the first partner in our partner network to recruit scholars with disabilities. Part B is about institutional strengthening through collaboration between University of Gondar and Queen's University, and that is what I'll focus on in my presentation here. So the vision of this collaboration is to create a disability inclusive campus at University of Gondar and enhance the university's visibility as a center of excellence for disability rehabilitation. To give you a quick overview of the 2 institutions and their history, University of Gondar is the oldest public university in Ethiopia. It is well known for its deep connection with communities. It has been in the forefront of innovating, taking risk, and pioneering new academic programs and new approaches, including community-based rehabilitation center. It is regarded as a national asset by the Ministry of Science and Higher Education. And I attest to that because I visited Gondar in 2018 and I could see how proud the ministry was of University of Gondar. Queen's University, on the other hand, was established in 1841 in Canada, a prestigious institution in Canada with a growing international presence in certain areas, including community-based rehabilitation. It was serendipitous that the 2 universities came together, not only with a shared vision to promote inclusion for persons with disabilities in Africa, but also with a shared strategy for achieving that vision, namely through community-based rehabilitation approaches. And this is a window into University of Gondar that depicts their efforts to create a campus environment that is friendly to young people with disabilities. So you see the billboards there. Now, how do the 2 institutions drive the vision, the shared vision? As you note here, there are a number of activities anchored in this vision. Each activity is unique. You may call it intervention or activity, is unique, but together they form an ecosystem that promises long-term impact. I'll go through each one by one very quickly. So in the Fellows Program, 60 faculty members of the University of Gondar study at Queen's University. This is to upgrade their professional and academic credentials so that they could bring the intellectual expertise in classrooms in Gondar. The second component is about developing a brand new academic program in occupational therapy. This is the first ever undergrad program in the country in occupational therapy and really contributes to addressing the shortage of rehabilitation professionals. The plan is that 16 faculty members who earn masters in OT at Queen's University will teach the OT curriculum in Gondar and support the overall management and delivery of the program. Connected to OT or occupational therapy is the Skills Lab. It is being set up at the University of Gondar to serve dual purpose. One, training lab for students who enroll in the OT program. And the first cohort is going to be enrolled in January 2022. So a training lab for the OT students, as well as a place to provide clinical services to the community. This is very much in the making right now, in the development phase. So University of Gondar is trying to find a space, an appropriate space where this lab could be established. So it's going to be brand new resource at the university. The fourth element is community-based rehabilitation certificate program. This program provides theoretical and applied skills training in community rehabilitation and offer hands-on experience to students that can later translate into employment opportunities for young people, as well as those who are field workers. This is a picture of CBR Resource Center at the University of Gondar. It's an existing infrastructure. It is equipped with materials such as digital audio recorder, screen reader, other aids and materials. And the program, through this partnership between Queen's and Gondar, the program is supporting purchase of additional material to be used as display in teaching, as well as for use by the students. And lastly, the program is supporting 8 collaborative research projects between faculty of Gondar and Queen's. And the aim is to generate new knowledge, evidence, and visibility of disability inclusion. So to wrap up, it is quite obvious that each intervention is a program in and of itself, but all of them are very much intertwined and are designed with a purpose so that one becomes an input to the other. And you know, it's inherent in any partnership, in any collaboration. There are strengths and challenges, but I think I will quote the partners, and I hope I quote them correctly, that the strengths outweigh the challenges. And this is because all partners involved embrace reflective learning and responding to the changing realities. So yes, there are challenges, but there is always an opportunity to learn together and respond to the challenges in an appropriate way. So this partnership is halfway through a 10-year journey. The first 5 years have been spent on laying the foundation, and the next 5 years will be focused on maturing these interventions by connecting the dots and measuring the overall impact. So yeah, that's where I'll end the presentation. And as I mentioned, we are still, this partnership is still young compared to the research center that you talked about. So there's a lot for us to learn from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Hajra, and I'll just jump in. Thanks very much to all the presenters. Thanks very much, especially to Dr. Hemming
Thank you,
for inviting.
Adi will take over or continue.
Yeah, sorry for jumping ahead like that. So yeah, so Niadi, I've had the pleasure of working for quite a while with Professor Grace Marquis for some years now, and I've also had the pleasure of working more recently also with Dr. Hemming, and also getting to interact with Professor Anna Latte. And it's been really fascinating to hear some of the stories about how some of this started, you know, how this NRTC, the story of Professor Latte and Professor Marquis getting in the car and driving and doing, actually. It's been fascinating to see, especially a glimpse, as you said, of what has happened over the past 10 years. Personally, you know, I think it's striking that some of this work has contributed to so much. You know, ultimately we see that the bits that I've had the chance to work on have included a Queen Elizabeth Scholars Program, where similar to what Hajra talked about, very much at a smaller scale, obviously, we've been looking at how do we actually engage some doctoral students, so graduate students, early career faculty members in applied research, right? So Hajra talked about the collaborative research with community, but also with industry. So how do we have research that actually has an impact on socioeconomic development? With the NRTC as a hub, if you want, the base around which we have multiple interactions that are ongoing. We've had people coming from different disciplines. I myself, nutrition is not my area of expertise, but in working with people like Professor Marquis, have been learning quite a lot about nutrition and coming to really appreciate the key role of nutrition when it comes to socioeconomic development. Part of what we've been doing now is enabling these academics, in some cases, to work also with other students, with the Mastercard Foundation scholars and alumni. And again, with a key thing being, how do we take applied research, and then how do we have that applied research actually have impact in community and industry? Now, our question becomes, how does one scale it? You know, so if we look at the NRTC, we see the glimpse of the past 10 years or the past 11 years. What is the vision? As we look at, you know, sort of what has been achieved, how can we build on this moving forward? So to have us glimpse a little bit with a vision in mind, remembering some of what Hajra just talked about, for example, with Queens and Gondar, we look at the possibilities with McGill, with Iowa State, with the University of Ghana, ultimately being, you know, sort of the main hub, the University of Ghana Nutrition Research Training Center as the main hub for some of what is possible in the next 10 years. What are some of the lessons that maybe we'll touch on in the next, you know, I think just a couple of minutes, talking about some of the lessons learned and how can we look at those lessons learned moving into the future? There are two aspects that I think I'll focus on. So one has to do with educational institutions and centers of excellence, right? And the other has to do with nutrition and how these two things, the centers of excellence or the educational institutions and nutrition, how they bridge into bringing about socioeconomic development. In terms of the NRTC as a center of excellence, or, you know, educational institutions like University of Ghana or any other institution, McGill, or, you know, others as institutions, I think that I want us to think about in looking for lessons learned in moving forward is, well, how can the NRTC scale the type of way in which, as a center of excellence, it leads to socioeconomic development, especially in a rural setting. So we had presenters talk about what it has meant to have the NRTC set where it is, you know, in Asesewa. And one can help. I've had the chance to visit the NRTC, great location. And for me, it really took me back to another educational institution, you know, that I feel has had quite an impact, in rural development. I'm a proud product of St. Peter's Secondary School in Kosiako, and I know that there are a number of us here who are products of rural institutions. And we can think about how those institutions impacted us, not just in the academics, but also practical knowledge. I credit my experience at St. Peter's in a rural in Kosiako to my career in international development. And I know that there are some of us here who have had similar experiences, how that setting, sort of being in a center of excellence in a rural setting, what it does and how different it is from being in an educational institution in an urban setting. But also we think about how those rural institutions, quote unquote, change the actual settings. So some may remember what used to be Legon decades ago, and how the University of Ghana has contributed to the development of what is now Legon, what is Accra, what is Ghana, right? So the setting of that educational institution, what it does. So similarly, in looking forward, how can the NRTC scale its work such that it has the kind of impact that centers of excellence, whether it's at Gondar, whether it's University of Ghana, Legon, or whether it is even Stanford University in Silicon Valley, the fact that you have these centers of excellence that really changed the community and changed the settings, the region, and actually have an impact on the country, right? So moving forward, there are lessons that have been learned, and I think that's been made very clear in how the NRTC has been contributing to changing systems, right? Dietetics, nutrition, but beyond that, agriculture, health. So that center, how can one overcome certain challenges? So the challenge of infrastructure was pointed out, right? And we know that infrastructure, whether it's hostels, so that more people can actually get trained there, or if it is, connectivity, internet connectivity, so that we can have these sessions and the lessons can be shared globally, become very important. But the other thing is also nutrition. The NRTC is key because of its focus on nutrition and the fact that nutrition bridges multiple disciplines. So we know that, for example, you have the Copenhagen Consensus. So this is these experts on global issues, global problems, have pointed out that nutrition is the key avenue of investment if we want to create socioeconomic development. Some arguing that if you put $1 spent on nutrition, can save up to on average about $45 because of the impacts in education, in health, right, and even in livelihoods, right. In some cases, the argument is that $1 spent can actually save up to $166, right? So the economic rationale for focusing on nutrition for socioeconomic development, the NRTC stands, because of that focus on nutrition, and also stands because of where it is to have a huge impact moving forward. What might the future look like? The future might look like the NRTC being, if you want, the Silicon Valley of nutrition in Ghana, or maybe we can call it, Ghana's Nutrition Valley. The NRTC has served quite a purpose, and moving forward over the next 10 years, there is quite a lot that can be done in partnership with the University of Ghana, in partnership with McGill, in partnership with multiple other partners, including the rural women, the small rural women farmers that some of you are also working with, right? So in thinking about lessons learned, I think there's a vision, right? And that vision builds on the past 10 years. It builds on what is possible. For example, what Hajra just talked about, what has been done, what is ongoing, say with Gondar and with Queens. And similarly, the hope is that the NRTC can be that kind of a hub that results in the kind of development that we want to see moving forward in Ghana, but not just in Ghana, but beyond Ghana as well. So I'll end on that note, and hopefully we'll have some of this picture in mind of the NRTC as Ghana's Nutrition Valley, the hub for development. So thank you very much, everyone.
So thank you, Dr. Adi, for that commentary. And Hajira, thank you also for that commentary and giving us a glimpse of what the MasterCard Foundation Scholars Program is doing in Ethiopia. And we hope that we could also pick up some lessons from there, and maybe you can also come on board to help the NRTC move forward for the next decade. We have heard a lot, starting from what was the idea that dropped into the minds of two people, what they did, and over the past 10 years, the impact that has been achieved from training, from having interns from the US coming to experience practically what it is like, what nutrition is like, and how they can help people in rural communities with their nutrition, and also networking and interacting with their counterparts from Ghana, and also with what NA is doing. So the nutrition center is not just there when there are no interns there. She is very busy impacting on the community in a very, very practical way. So we'll time for about 10 or so minutes for questions. We wanted to end about 5:30, but we'll have about 10 minutes or so for questions and moving forward. And part, if you have some comments, also maybe comments on what you think the next decade should hold for the NRTC. So if there are any questions, please raise your hand using the symbol, the hand symbol, or you can type in your question in the chat. So if you raise your hand, I'll recognize you and you can ask your question or you can make your comment. And then we would add, okay. Nafisatu Bukari. Nafisatu, yes, you can unmute and then speak. Thanks, yeah. Please ask your question and who to. You have not unmuted. Nafisatu, unmute yourself and then we can hear you. Great. You are still muted. Let me see whether.
Yeah, sorry, it was from the host side, not my side. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, and thanks Professor Ni for touching on the rural institutions.
We chose to work with adolescents because we understood that this is a really critical time in their life.
Please go on and ask your question.
They are no longer children.
Don't worry. Go on and ask your question.
Sorry about that. I think it was another video playing on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Ni, for touching on the rural institutions. I went to UDS myself, and I will direct this. It's a question, but also a kind of suggestion. So from Dr. Asante's presentation on networking and collaboration, I would like to know if there could be a possible way of collaborating with institutions like UDS and UHAS, who also train students on nutrition, to get students involved in practical dietetics and training, and also internship programs, to gain some of these experiences that University of Ghana students are also gaining. I think it would be great to scale this up to other institutions like UDS, because they do a lot of community works, and especially with the third trimester field programs, they could absorb specifically nutrition students, and then they go to the center to also gain some practical experience in the field of nutrition and dietetics. So that's my question / suggestion. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think your question will go more to the NRTC people, Dr. Heming, etc., because they are responsible for the recruitment. It's not really Dr. Ni Ade's place. He's working with them, yes, but I think Dr. Heming could come in and maybe Prof. Latte, Prof. Samakis.
Okay, so the idea is something that we have thought of, and we actually started talking with some of the universities. I think that for a number of these courses, they are still establishing themselves. The other part has to do with the cost that this comes with. So it involves a lot, as you saw, all the things that have to be done, the community entry and so on and so forth. So there is a certain aspect of the cost that must be borne by the interns. And so, for instance, when we started talking with UHAS, that was one of the things that came up. But we are still talking. We are still talking with other universities that are interested in the program.
Yeah, so Professor Latte would speak.
I think that
and then
Latte
yes, and then Professor Makwi will also speak. Yes, Prof. Latte.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Professor Sichi Dawson. And I would like to just use the opportunity to thank all the speakers, and especially Agatha and her team, Dr. Ohime and the team, for really managing the center so well. Now, sitting here and looking at all that has happened in the past 10 years, I think that there is a lot, I see a lot of potential for the center. We have not actually exhausted, reached our potential at all. I see so huge a potential for this center, and in the next 10 years, we should be seeing ourselves getting there. One, we want to see that the center must justify itself in the region. And how do we justify ourselves? To ensure that we change the structure and the picture of nutrition in the district in which the center sits. I think if after next 10 years, we haven't done that, then we have not achieved our aim. We should change the face of nutrition in the district. It should disappear. No child should be malnourished as a result of our presence. The next is that we should be able, in the next 10 years, we should be able to empower girls, to especially have the young girls in the region, many who drop out of school, make it to the tertiary education. That would be fantastic. And then talking about scaling up, I think that's where we really should be heading to, getting other universities also coming on board with us. I think that would really be great, so that the resource is not just for the University of Ghana, but University of Ghana in its usual practice, reaching out to its other sister and younger universities to come and be part of it. But to be able to make this possible, despite in addition to the resources that have been talked about, is the need for that this accommodation that we need to be able to host people at the center. We still have not completed the buildings that we need to build. There's one major building, the 20 to 25 to 30 room accommodation that has not been built, and we need to do that. But despite all this, I think that we should not let these limitations hold us back. What we need to do, let's move forward and change the picture of and the structure of nutrition in the district. The district should be an example for all other districts in Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Grace?
Well, I want to second what Anna said, and certainly I think from the very beginning, our feeling has been a commitment to give back to the communities. And I really want to give congratulations to Na for the wonderful work that she's doing in all of the activities that are ongoing to improve nutrition for the district residents. I just wanted to add that two things. One is that I think from the very beginning, Anna and I imagined that with time, the center would become a center of excellence for West Africa. And that there would be it would be a resource where people from all over Ghana, as well as from other areas in West Africa or perhaps beyond, could come to learn about rural nutrition. And so I think as we're thinking about the next 10 years and dreaming about the next 10 years or more, there's lots of opportunity for benefiting other universities in Ghana, as well as other institutions in South Africa or in West Africa. And we're having a little bit of a touch of that this coming year, in that we're working on the Queen Elizabeth Scholars Program that will be bringing people from Burkina Faso to the district, to the center, to interact. So we're starting little by little, but I certainly agree that our priority needs to be locally first, and at the same time be building outwards. The second thing I just wanted to mention quickly is I would love to see what's happening in dietetics happen in other fields that are relevant for nutrition. So not why we could have experts in other issues of health, we could have experts in agriculture and in water sanitation, or other professionals that could be giving back to the community, improving that whole ambience that is relevant for nutrition, and building the scholarship and the training related to those associated fields. So I think the center has a long life ahead of it, and has the opportunity to influence many people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? I don't see anything in the chat yet. Raphael Ajima says, thanks, Prof. Latte. I agree with your sharings also. Yes, and Nafisa says that her question has been answered. Yes, there is a plan to reach out, and slowly, one will get there, I suppose. Yeah, as I don't see any further questions. New message. Okay. I think the sentiments are that really people are very happy and quite impressed with what has gone on in the last decade. And we have had commentaries to talk about what could go on in the next decade, where you're raising the Nutrition and Research and Training Center to another level. Miguel Date has a question. Are there internship slots available for nutrition students from UG? Dr. Heming.
Yes, so sometimes we add 1 or 2 students from the department if the interest is there, and to top up for the dietetics students from the Department of Dietetics.
Okay.
So we've had some of our students who have gone through the internship from the department.
From the department, okay, thank you. Yes, so the next decade promises to be exciting, and as Dr. Heming and her team, with the backing of Prof. Latte, Professor Marquis, will certainly see some changes and moving forward. I see it as you said, and in fact, for us in food science, we can also bring in processing, where we can help train the women in basic processing and improving some of their traditional processing methods to make it more effective. Grace talked about agriculture coming in and all of that. So definitely, it looks like this nutrition center is a permanent fixture, and it is going to do more. And as Prof. Latte has mentioned, and her desire that it should change the environment. And I agree perfectly with that, that people should see a change in the nutrition, not only for children, but adults and everyone in that district, and also in the hospital. The hospital should be seeing less and less of malnutrition cases. I would ask Diana.
Hi everyone. Thank you.
Sure.
It's really exciting to. So I'm Dr. Marquis' student, PhD student, and yes, it's really exciting to see the center being at this moment. And since we still have some time for questions, I just wanted to take advantage of everyone who's here and wanted to bring up the issue of the field workers. Because I think, as you're saying, nutrition is very important there, but all our research relies a lot on the field workers that are there. So something that I've been dreaming about when I was doing my research there myself, and as I see other researchers going there, is if there could be any kind of formal training so that we can give the people who are collaborating with us in data collection, so that we can give them small diplomas to say, you know, you have been trained in this aspect, like in qualitative data collection or in survey or in anthropometric measurements or so on, so that we can help them to improve their curriculum, but also help other researchers who are going later on when they are recruiting people. So that's a question if there are any plans. Maybe UG could do something about that if there are any plans on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Dr. Himing. I mean, that certainly is a great idea that the field workers must also, over the years, actually, they've gained experience and it must be recognized in some way to make them also feel more confident in what they do. Dr. Himing.
Yes, so that's a very great idea. We don't have anything formally put on paper also for this idea, but whilst thinking about that, and this is something that we have thought a bit about, we have seen that just by the association that these field workers have with us, with the center, one of the things that has come out is their desire to become better. So two of them, the people we've worked with for a long period, have gone ahead to get diploma from other universities, using distance education, for instance. And currently we have one who is doing her service after graduating from UCC while still working with us as a field worker. But it is a great idea, and I think that we need to see how best we can work with the field workers and upgrade them. Very good idea. Thank you, Diana.
Okay. I don't see any further questions, and we are gone beyond our time. We wanted to close at about 5:30, like 2.5 hours. And I must say that we have had a very enlightening, stimulating session. It's been 2 hours plus, almost 3 hours now. And we have thought about so many things, and I think each one of us would have picked up something. Those who are researchers, I'm sure your research brains are spinning around thinking about what you could do in that environment using the NRTC as a base. And so I would like to say thank you to everyone who has taken part in this session. And again, congratulations to Prof. Latte, Prof. Marquis, Dr. Himing, who has ably carried on and brought this center to where it is today. Thank you all for participating, and we'll want to draw this program to an end, and maybe Dr. Ohiming may have something to say, so I'll turn it over to her to have the last word.
So just to say a very big thank you to all our speakers. I know that I have bombarded you with emails for the past 3 weeks, but you have been so gracious and you have responded and be on board with us. And I also want to say a big thank you to Professor Sechi Dawson for all the encouragement, all the wonderful ideas, and also for moderating this afternoon's program. So to everyone who was able to join us, I say a big thank you on behalf of the department and on behalf of the Nutrition Center. God richly bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, and it's a pleasure meeting our colleagues from the US.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The doctoral students, well done and all the best as you finish up.
Thank you and congratulations again.
Yeah.